The world is undoubtedly in the midst of a historic transformation. Global events are moving at a pace we've never seen before, and many are starting to question whether we are on the verge of a new era. Climate change is creating global crises, pandemics have reshaped societies, and economic instability is rippling across nations. More and more, the world seems to be looking for a unified response, an approach that transcends borders to address these issues. Nations, corporations, and global organizations like the United Nations and the World Health Organization are working together to solve problems that no single nation can manage on its own. But as we step into this moment of unprecedented global cooperation, many are wondering, is this unity part of a larger prophetic plan? Could the efforts to unite the world, whether for global health, climate action, or economic stability, be part of a biblical fulfillment? Could this Great Awakening be the beginning of a one-world system? The Great Awakening isn't just a political or social movement, it's spiritual, and it aligns with certain biblical prophecies about the end times. The question we must ask ourselves today is whether what we re-witnessing, the rising global governance and growing technological integration, is setting the stage for the one-world government described in Revelation 13. By the end of this video, we'll look at the profound biblical implications of the world's shift towards globalism. Are we seeing biblical prophecy unfold right before our eyes? Could 2025 be the year when everything starts to come into focus? Stick with me as we explore the convergence of modern-day events and biblical prophecy, and consider how 2025 might just be the year when everything begins to change. To truly understand the spiritual and prophetic weight of what's happening today, we must first take a step back and understand what globalism is and how it has evolved. Globalism refers to the idea that nations should collaborate across borders to solve the world's most pressing issues. At first glance, this concept seems like an admirable goal, a world united in tackling issues like poverty, war, health crises, and climate change. However, the rise of globalism isn't just about cooperation, it's about a shift in power from individual nations to centralized global entities. Over the last century, international organizations like the United Nations, UN, and the World Trade Organization, WTO, have promoted this vision of global unity. The UN, created after World War II, was founded on the idea of fostering peace, preventing war, and encouraging cooperation among nations. It's a well-intentioned idea, but as these organizations gain more power, their influence has expanded into policy areas such as global health, climate change, and even global financial regulations. The globalist vision took a major step forward with the rise of the World Economic Forum, the WEF. The WEF, which began as a platform for economic discussion, has become a major player in shaping global governance. The organization's influential leaders have called for a Great Reset, which aims to reshape global capitalism and global society in response to environmental and social challenges. But what does all this mean from a prophetic standpoint? In Revelation 13, we read about a beast system that will dominate the world, a system that is economic, political, and spiritual. The Bible warns that this system will demand total allegiance and worship. The stage for such a system is already being set today.
As we look around, the signs of a one-world system are becoming clearer. Trade agreements between countries have become more complex, pushing nations toward shared regulations and standards. Digital currencies are becoming the norm, and we see the rise of centralized economic systems. If you've been paying attention, the world is increasingly embracing ideas like global taxation, universal income, even global health policies that require global cooperation. But what does the Bible say about all of this? In Revelation 13, we see a vision of the beast, a powerful entity that rises from the sea and demands control over the earth. The beast's power is not just political, it's economic. It controls all commerce. Revelation 13:16-17 says that no one can buy or sell without the mark of the beast, indicating that economic power is central to its rule. Sound familiar? In today's world, we are already seeing the beginnings of this system. Digital currencies, blockchain technology, and global health systems are creating the infrastructure for a one world economic system that could easily morph into the mark of the beast. The system that will dominate commerce and control every transaction. The more connected the world becomes, the more it becomes apparent that we may be headed toward a one world economic and political system that will eventually control the entire planet. That we have a clearer picture of what globalism looks like in the modern world, it's time to consider the spiritual implications of a one-world system. The Bible doesn't just warn about the rise of political and economic systems, it speaks of a spiritual force behind these movements. In Revelation 13, the beast system doesn't just demand political allegiance, it requires spiritual worship. This is where the spiritual awakening we're witnessing today becomes critical. Many of the global movements happening now have strong spiritual undertones. For example, global efforts to address climate change often invoke moral and spiritual rhetoric, pushing the idea that humanity's salvation lies in global cooperation. This spiritual deception aligns with what Revelation 13 describes, a time when the world will be deceived, and all people will be forced to worship the beast. As we witness the rise of global movements, we also see the decline of religious freedom in some parts of the world. In many nations, Christianity is being marginalized, and faith-based organizations are increasingly being silenced or censored. The Bible warns that in the last days, true believers will face persecution, and the global system will pressure them to conform. This is why the Great Awakening is so important. The Bible speaks of a time when God's people will awaken to the truth and resist the world system. This awakening isn't just about being spiritually aware, it's about resisting the lies and standing firm in our faith. Christians are called to prepare their hearts, understand the prophetic warnings, and stand against the spiritual forces of deception. As we continue to explore the rising one-world system, it's crucial to understand the role of the church in this unfolding scenario. Christians are not just passive observers of these global changes. We are called to actively engage in the Great Awakening and bring light into the darkness of these last days. In Joel 2:28 and Acts 2:17, we are promised that God will pour out His Spirit in the last days, leading to a great spiritual awakening. This is not just about a personal revival. It's about a global movement that will wake up the church to the reality of what is happening in the world and prepare us for the challenges ahead. We see signs of this spiritual awakening all over the world. Despite the rise of secularism and persecution, Christianity continues to grow in places like Africa, Asia, and Latin America. These regions are experiencing what some are calling a global revival movement of people turning to Christ in unprecedented numbers. As the world falls further into chaos and deception, the church is called to rise up and be a beacon of truth. The Bible warns that in the last days, there will be false prophets and deceptive spirits leading people astray. Matthew 24:24 tells us, "For false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect." The church must be vigilant and discerning, knowing the Word of God and standing firm in truth, no matter how the world tries to persuade us. The rise of globalism and the push for a one-world government are undeniable. But Christians should not be fearful. Instead, we should stand firm in our faith and prepare spiritually for the challenges ahead. While the Bible speaks of a global system that will deceive the nations, it also speaks of God's ultimate victory. The question for each of us today is, how will we respond? The time is coming when all of us will be asked to make a choice, whether we will align ourselves with the global system that seeks to dominate every aspect of life, or whether we will stand for God's kingdom no matter the cost. The choice might not be easy, but as Christians, we have been called to resist the world system and remain faithful to God. If this video has caused you to think deeply about the events unfolding around us, I invite you to comment below with your thoughts, subscribe, and share this video with others who need to hear the truth about the end times. And remember, God is in control, and His plan will unfold perfectly, just as He promised.